It's inconceivable to me that people wouldn't want to move heaven and earth to help get Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in the Senate, back in the Senate where they belong, to keep Republican control, the Republican majority. David Shafer was appointed executive director of the Georgia Republican Party at 25 years old. This guy is a machine. David Shafer, his former state senator. He's now chairman of the Republican Party here in Georgia. And he joins us on our guest line here on this Monday episode of the Mike Gallagher Show from Georgia. David, it's great having you on the program, sir. How you doing?
It's an honor to be with you too, Mike. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for taking some time out of what I know is a hectic, frenzied time for Georgia Republicans. Let's just start with Valdosta, how you felt about the rally, how you feel about Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue's chances. Talk about the mood and the mindset of Georgia voters right now, David.
Well, you laid it out perfectly, Mike. This is the most important and consequential election in our lifetimes. And the Democrats the Democratic Party has been taken over by the angriest people in America. They're angry about different things and for different reasons, but they're united in one common belief that America is not a force for good in the world. They view America as this oppressive nation whose founders should be scorned, whose monuments should be toppled, whose history should be erased, and we know that America is the hero of world history, and that there's never been on this planet or at any point in history a country more free, welcoming, and respectful of the rights of all people than our country. And that's really what's at stake in these runoff elections. I was in Valdosta Saturday when the president came there. There were thousands of enthusiastic Georgians who understand what is at stake, and I feel, I feel very good about how it's coming together.
There was such a stark contrast between Senator Loeffler and Reverend Warnock last night. It was night and day because you know the difference between somebody who supports law enforcement and somebody who does not. In fact, Senator Loeffler pointed out that Warnock has called police thugs and gangsters. Warnock would not answer the question about radically transforming the Supreme Court. Were you pleased with what Georgians took away from the debate last night?
I thought she did a great job, and I think that Warnock did try to conceal himself, but it was apparent what he really believes. Not only has he denigrated law enforcement, he's denigrated military service. He said that there's no way you can serve in the United States military and serve God at the same time, right, which is so outrageous and so offensive, and a window into his worldview, which is that America is the villain, and we know obviously that America is the hero.
I don't want to get you in trouble with local reporters here in Georgia, but I could not believe how biased the panel was last night and the way they were trying to hammer Senator Loeffler and throw a whole bunch of softballs and glowing, loving, easy questions to Warnock.
It was difficult to watch, but isn't that true really of the media across the country, that they've stopped even pretending to be an objective source of news, and they've adopted an ideological position and they pursue it. It's so discouraging.
I mean, David, I get here and I think, because I kind of cover the media from a national perspective, and then I get to Georgia over the weekend and I see the coverage and I hear what they're doing. It's no different locally, and I think that's true across the country.
Nope, they've adopted a position, and they see their role is to advocate that position.
Right. David Shafer is our guest, chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. Is it difficult for you to sort of reassure angry voters who are fired up about the integrity of this election? We know there was fraud. We know there were shenanigans. We know there was garbage with all the millions of mail-in ballots and all the videos we've seen, and everybody who's following this. People are so frustrated, David. How do you channel that, take that frustration and that anger about the presidential election and turn it into something positive that'll make sure that the Democrats don't get control of both chambers?
Look, there's no question that there was irregularities and that there was fraud in the election. I believe it was largely of the vanilla, low-tech type of fraud. Absentee ballots accepted that should not have been accepted. We've got felons voting. We've got people who weren't registered voting. We've got people who registered after the deadline voting, people who moved to other states voting. The truth of the matter is, the more of us that vote, the harder it is for them to cheat, because the cheating really only works when the election is close. And so it's imperative that however you feel about the election, or the integrity of the election for that matter, that you show up and vote. That is the strongest check against them stealing the election on January the 5th.
And what do you say to people outside of Georgia, which is a big, obviously millions of people who listen to this show every day? What kind of message do you have for frustrated Americans, north, south, east, and west, who are really, really livid about what we've seen in the last few weeks in this country?
We're working around the clock to prevent the Democrats from taking control of the United States Senate and having a complete control of the Congress. I mean, it's they've made clear their agenda. They want to expand the Supreme Court. They want to admit every island territory as a new state with 2 new United States senators. I mean, we will never come back from what they will do to our country if they succeeding in gaining complete control of the Congress. And so I'm sorry, David, I didn't mean to interrupt you. One of the questions we get a lot, though, from Americans, are they going to keep an eye? Are they going to monitor? Will there be oversight in Georgia to make sure they can't cheat, lie, and steal their way into a Democrat Senate majority? How do you feel as chairman of the Georgia Republican Party about the election transparency here? We are putting pressure on our Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. We had asked him in the general election to issue a bulletin that would allow our observers to watch the absentee signature matching process, and he never did so. And we are demanding that he do so now in the general election. If we have to sue him, we will sue him. But I believe that's where most of the irregularities took place. I believe that the glut of absentee ballots overwhelmed the verification process. We've asked him repeatedly to do an audit to assure us that that process is working. He's refusing. But we are going to do everything in our power to force them to obey the law, which requires that the entire voting process be open to the public.
Mr. Chairman, what's wrong with this Republican Secretary of State here in Georgia? Everybody wants to know.
I don't know. I don't know for sure. My suspicion is that in the weeks leading up to the general election, he spent millions of dollars on television ads saying that he himself was securing the election. And he is, in my view, is psychologically and politically invested in this idea that the election had no problems, and that has compromised his ability to impartially investigate the problems that we've drawn to his attention, and has made him reflexively defensive about the obvious misconduct that's been revealed in the last several weeks.
Well, he's got to shake that off. We got to make sure that we have a free and fair and transparent election here in Georgia, and that's why we're here, and I think the world is watching. Final comments, Chairman Shafer. Real personal tragedy hit the Loeffler campaign. I know that Kelly Loeffler, her family, the whole team, all of you here in Georgia were really, really heartbroken by the tragic car accident that took the life of one of Senator Loeffler's campaign staffers.
He was a bright and wonderful young man, and it's always a tragedy when you see a young person's life ended. All of us feel for Harrison's family and for his friends on the Loeffler campaign and his friends throughout life. Absolutely.
What a year. What a year this has been. And, of course, our prayers for healing, for comfort for Harrison's family, and for the entire Loeffler team. That was the one thing the panel did last night at the debate. At least they expressed their condolences at the end of the night after they kind of beat her up and lifted Warnock up like he was, Mother Teresa. Unreal. Right. David Shafer, thanks for spending some time with us here on the Mike Gallagher Show. Keep fighting the good fight we're praying for all of you, and we're going to be fighting hard for Kelly Loeffler and David Producer.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Appreciate you joining us. David Shafer, who's the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, here in a special edition of the Mike Gallagher Show. We're in the ReliefFactor.com mobile studios.